just miss you. You don't want it to miss by a mile, you want it to just miss you. And very nice slips by Matthew Norman, and that's something that Lyoto Machida is famous for, is just barely slipping punches.
So both fighters getting in, more of the strikes coming from Clarke, especially with leg kicks. A big leg kick there thrown by Norman, though, struck the back leg, I believe.
Yeah, it went around that front leg and ended up hitting that back leg, so some funky things, and a nice little quick jab as Cody Clarke was stepping in, and a returning kick from Cody Clarke.
Nice big kick there from Clarke. Norman storms forward and eats a right hand for his trouble and eats another kick. These kicks will start to take their toll when boys as big as these two are start kicking one another. One of their legs is going to have trouble.
Yeah, there's another kick there. You can definitely see the karate background from Matt Norman. Coming in for a leg attack, and good, heads the outside. Caught in a guillotine, but he landed in side position. If he stays there, he's in safe position, and he does get to a half guard. You're not really going to be able to guillotine a guy out. Excellent job here by Matthew Norman getting to the side. He's got an arm around his neck, but in the side position, he's not in any danger of being choked out.
Cody Clarke doing everything he can to try and get back to a half guard.
And there we go, now a side control, and no striking to the head of a downed opponent, so you won't see a typical ground and pound. So it's kind of an even keel here, being on bottom and being on top. A lot more jiu-jitsu from the bottom than from the top, because jiu-jitsu is again designed to use opponent's strength against him. So when an opponent is in a strong position, you use it against. You see triangles, you'll see, see kimuras, you'll see even arm bars from the bottom. From the top, there's not as much options, so kind of 50-50, whereas in a ground and pound situation, it's more 90-10, because you can get punched in the face on the bottom, and it hurts.
So Cody Clarke doing a good job in the guard of limiting damage. Matthew Norman trying to break free, but not much doing. Looking to pass there and get swept for his trouble. Cody Clarke on top now, and he's dropping elbows and knees, or elbows and punches to the body, which is a legal form of ground and pound, with just 10 seconds left here in round number one, doing everything he can to strike damage to the body of Matthew Norman and convince the judges that this round should be his. Round number two here at the School of Hard Knocks 23, live from the Subway Soccer Center in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Brand new venue, you like it here.
It is a nice venue, better seating, I think, than previous locations. Big swinging punch thrown by Norman there. Clarke coming forward.
Nice leg kick.
Again, those leg kicks will start to take their toll over time, but Norman doing a good job of pressing forward, keeping his eyes on Cody Clarke, making sure that he's got an idea of where those hands are coming from.
And Norman is, I mentioned it before, Norman is really aware of range, because he did not have his hands up at all, and Cody Clarke, nice shot there by Norman. Cody Clarke threw some big shots, and they were centimeters away from the nose of Matthew Norman, and he just stood there and let those things go in front of him. Very aware of how the range works for Cody Clarke, and that's a good sign for Matt Norman.
Both fighters now circling. The coaches of Cody Clarke imploring him to start kicking. Figure taking away the base, and it seems to be working. A little more tender is Matt Norman, I believe, because he started to back up when he saw that other leg kick coming. He threw his front leg behind him to guard against it, as opposed to checking the kick jab.
Yeah. Well, he seems to have something in mind of what he wants to do. You see, as he's moving forward, he's got a mission in mind, and it doesn't seem to faze him, all these other things that are happening to him. It is counting on the judges' scorecards, though.
And those are reliable to a point, but sometimes, of course, I've only got one of the 6 sides of the cage to look through here, and sometimes it looks a little different to other people.
You heard me mention in the last fight, hands up. And I think it'd be an important thing if you're in a Muay Thai style. Matt Norman is keeping his hands at his waist. And what this is doing with his ability and the karate that he does, And of course, I'm contradicted right away because he just took a nice left jab. But he knows his space and he knows the range of Cody Clarke, and he's almost tempting Clarke to step in with big power punches because he sees those hands down and maybe looking to counter. It's just more the karate style. You know, it's kind of hit or miss on the hands up thing. I still would want to protect my chin if it were me.
Cody Clarke continuing with leg kicks, continuing to move forward. Both fighters taking the opportunity to move forward. A big kick there, caught by Norman, looking for a takedown.
Standing arm triangle too.
With just 5 seconds to go, though, no time for that submission to sink in for Cody Clarke out of the red corner, and we are underway for the third and final round. A very slow takedown attempt, and then
an uppercut.
An uppercut that came through, and that one caught Cody Clarke. But like he mentioned before, a big punch is what woke him up against Bryce Berry, and he ate that uppercut and smiled about it.
Absolutely, and here comes a standing guillotine attempt, and I really hope that Cody Clarke's got it deep, but I don't know if he's necessarily around the neck. Lots of pressure on the back of the neck. It's not comfortable, but I don't know whether Matthew Norman's going to get tapped out by this. Now sunk in a little bit deeper.
And just leaning back for everything it's worth is Cody Clarke, hanging off of Matt Norman up against the cage and trying to slip it in. There it is, a little deeper. He's got both arms under. It's no longer an arm-in guillotine choke up against the cage, and Norman does a good job to get that arm back in there and relieve some of the pressure.
Yeah, and this might burn out arms, although in a 3-minute round, it's not so crucial at the beginning of the round to have your arms burnt out.
And Norman looks gassed. His hands are both down by his side for a significant time until Cody Clarke got out on top, and now after a scramble, he ends up on top. And we saw what he was doing here the last time he was on top, and he adds a knee to the offense here as he continues to drop elbows and punches into the chest and midsection of Matthew Norman.
Yeah, the amateur rules, you want to be inside control. The concern here is you don't see much weight being put on to Matthew Norman. I know that Cody Clarke is creating space to be able to strike, but if Norman has a little bit extra gas, he'll be able to slip out of there because there's nothing holding him down at this point.
And a minute 15 or a minute 5 now remaining in round number 3, and a big knee going to the midsection of Matthew Norman. Cody Clarke has landed all kinds of unanswered strikes here, and admittedly not in danger of losing the fight in this position as Matthew Norman, but not in danger, certainly not going to win a round, just getting elbowed in the chest for a minute and a half.
Well, and we've seen body blows end fights before at all levels of MMA. You drop an elbow and you hit somebody in the kidney or the liver, that ends fights. I've been punched in the liver and I fell down.
Well, there's a reason you're outside the cage. Cody Clarke, though, now in control of this fight with just 20 seconds to go. Norman, though, looking for an arm bar, might have had it, but Cody Clarke not giving that arm up, and he's just
giving him some
knees. And this fight is called over as Matthew Norman had nothing left, and Cody Clarke gets a finish with just seconds remaining in the third round.